Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Grisak here with the Grisak Group Realty, and we've got a very special guest today. I've got 1,000 questions for him. This is Mayor Dusty Kuykendall, the mayor of Lucas. Dusty, thank you for visiting with me.
Good morning, Tom. Glad to be here.
Got a lot of questions for you. I met Dusty about a year ago when he was running for mayor, and he was nice enough. He dropped by, and we just started talking. He introduced himself, and I got to ask him a lot of questions about his philosophy to what he wants to do in Lucas, what he's trying to keep out of Lucas. And I thought, this is a guy I can stand behind. So you were the only public figure that I've ever supported.
Right. No, I appreciate that very much.
And you have not let me down. You're exactly what I hoped you would be. So I want to start off by saying it's been a year. Have you been pleased with what you've gotten done so far, or has it been too slow? Is it frustrating for you? As we all know, Lucas can be a little fractious. There are
Sure.
different entities involved. Are you pleased with the progress so far?
It's surprising that it's been a year. I feel like it's gone by really quick. I feel like we have made some really good strides as a city.
Hmm.
I'm very fortunate to have an amazing city staff that works really hard to help us and our council get things done in the quickest way that we can.
Hmm.
I think anyone that's ever worked in government realizes it moves a little bit slower than maybe what we want it to go.
Right.
But I think we are making really good strides. We're trying to live up to the promises that I made when I was on the campaign trail of what we're going to go look at,
Hmm.
be a bit more methodical in what we do, but also really sit down and look at a long-term plan. So
Right.
some of that you can't realize in a year,
Right.
and some of that you can. And
Right.
some of those steps are really being made now that we're going to have a 5 and 10 year
Right.
plan associated with it. But I do think we're moving in the right direction. Our council is working very well together to have open dialogue and bring forth some good ideas and work together in unison, but still having their own opinions on how things
Right.
should look. And so that's been one of my biggest goals was I really want to have council meetings where there's open dialogue and there's discussions.
Hmm.
I don't like when agenda items come up and it's just immediately voted and we move forward
Right.
because I think it's important that citizens see how we made those
Right.
decisions and the thought that goes into it. So to answer your question, I think we're doing really well. I think it's been enlightening to see
I bet.
the intricacies of how things work in and around our city, but also with other cities, with TxDOT and with the state,
Hmm.
and how all of those connect and play into what it is that we're trying to go do because we have to work with them
Right.
across the board on every project that we do.
Well, everybody's always concerned about roads. Let's start with roads
Sure.
first. Tell me what you can about any plans that are in place or you feel you have coming. Obviously the Lucas Food Store that's coming along,
Right.
and we'll start there. Do you think that's going to resolve the problems at that intersection there?
I think it's going to make a big difference. So I'll say that specific area is a TxDOT project. Lucas has nothing to do with that. So a lot of people reach out and say, "Hey, that's behind schedule. It's ahead of schedule," and
Yeah.
kind of what's going on. And so one of the very first things that we did when I got into office was we established very frequent meetings with TxDOT.
Hmm.
And our person with TxDOT is great. She comes by the office. We were able to have quick chats about status updates, not just on that specific intersection, but also long-term plans of East and West Lucas Road
Hmm.
all the way into Angel. And so with that, we're able to have a better goal of kind of how we have our roads that affect them and how they affect us.
Hmm.
And they're willing to sit with us and say, as they look at new projects, what is it that we do and don't want? They don't want to impact our city in a negative way, but they also understand that they have to get traffic through our town
Right.
in the most efficient and effective way possible. So, with that specific road, my understanding from them in a very recent meeting was that they're actually ahead of schedule. It
Okay.
doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
I certainly don't feel that way about it.
Right.
But according to what they have outlined, they're actually ahead of schedule. Their
Okay.
contractors are meeting, if not exceeding, where they're supposed to be.
Well, I did a deal on Princeton is like the
Sure.
third fastest growing in the country,
Right.
and all that traffic from South Princeton is going to be coming right up, 3286 or
Right.
Lucas Branch Road,
Yes, sir.
and that's going to be a real challenge, I think. I don't know if they've got plans to even down the road, 10 years down the road. Did they ever discuss anything about widening the bridge or?
So 2 weeks ago, we had a preliminary meeting. Nothing is in its official design yet, but preliminary drawings did show a widened from east of the bait shop going to the lake and it showed a parallel bridge. So the
Oh,
intent by
wow.
them
Wouldn't
is
that be
to
great?
build at some point. I think this is a
Yeah.
2030 plus project,
Yeah. Oh,
but
that'd be so helpful.
the designs that we saw 2.5 weeks ago included a 2-lane bridge. So there would be
So it'd
two
be,
parallel bridge. Yes, sir.
okay. So it'd be 4
It'd be
lanes.
4 lanes.
Okay. Man, that's fantastic.
So that alleviates the traffic. Now, the hurdle that we run into is so they come across the lake, they go to the bait shop
Right.
intersection, which we all know, and that one is working well. But they just approved, and I've seen the designs on where they're going to go from bait shop to now country club or right by the fire station,
Okay.
and that's tech stop piece.
Okay.
And
Tell
there's
me about that. How wide will that be?
it'll be 4 lanes,
Okay.
and so
That'd be a huge help.
well, and so that's got to funnel, keep people going that direction. And Lucas has already approved the designs, and we're in the final stages of that to go from the intersection of Fire Station, so Country Club, to Angel.
Okay.
That's our section.
That's your section.
Correct.
All right.
And just so we understand scale and why these things sometimes move slowly, that's a $28 million project.
So the TxDOT takes it from the old city hall over to the intersection of Lucas Branch and then but what happens after that on Southview?
So
Does it go further?
yeah, so going Southview, so
Excuse me.
Country Club or Southview, all the way down
Okay.
to Parker, all that is a TxDOT road. Um,
And
going
go ahead.
going back years ago, if you remember, there was a proposal to make it some, crazy almost highway-like road
Yeah.
that was came in, and council
Right.
decided no on that. But what wasn't done was there was never a sit-down discussion with them to say what is that we specifically do and don't want about that.
Right.
So when I came to office, John and I went down and we sat with them and we said, we believe that the road needs to be widened, but we don't believe it needs to be 6 lanes with a turning lane and all of this. So we sat with them and worked on what we specifically want. And so what we've given back to them as a request, and council has unanimously agreed and signed off on, is a 4-lane road with a curb and gutter. And what that does is it minimizes it by 40 feet, so 20 feet on each side,
Okay.
plus the additional lanes. So it
Okay.
very much narrows it. The goal would always be to have it fit within the existing easements, so it's less impactful to existing residents. We don't lose our parks, etc.
Okay.
Yet we still get the reward of increased traffic flow, increased safety, banked turns, etc.
And timing, roughly, do you have any type of prediction?
I don't know on that
Right.
right now. I've been working with both House reps, Senate reps, and the governor's office to pull back some funding that we know went elsewhere to try to work on this project, because
Okay.
this luckily is a project that's a priority for us. It's a priority for TxDOT, and it's a priority for the county. This
Yeah.
is a major thoroughfare, and unfortunately, we know that this is a very dangerous road, especially kind of up in the major corners by Fitzhugh Cemetery, West Fort, etc.
Right.
So the intent would be to push this up on their priority list and increase the funding.
Hey everyone, Sean Elliott with the Grisak Group here. Just a friendly reminder that if you intend to protest your property tax assessment for your home, you have a couple more weeks to do that. So we have a link on the screen. If you visit that and you think the county has overvalued your home, meaning you're going to pay more than you should in taxes, we're happy to talk with you about it, run some numbers to see if there are some lower comps that might help lower that value. So again, just go to the link on the screen or give us a call and we'll set up a quick meeting and see if we can help you out. Thanks so much.
In fact, someone had asked me, they saw that I was going to be talking with you. Can you ask the mayor about any updates to Forest Grove from Country Club to Orr? It needs to be fixed due to multiple dips, potholes, and uneven sections. So
Sure.
I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I think West Forest Grove is a unique road because by most standards, it's not the normal width it should be. It's an unstriped road. It
Mhm.
is heavily tree covered, so it's
It's
dimly lit in the
beautiful. It's a
evenings.
beautiful road.
It's a beautiful road. I'm fortunate enough to live on it, but the road in its current state is good. And so I don't think there's going to be major changes to it anytime soon.
Okay.
One of the things we're looking at due to the windy nature and the dips that are there and the tree coverage is how can we increase visibility without putting lights?
Yeah.
So one of the things we look at is reflective striping on the edges, maybe some markers or whatever that
Okay.
we can look at to improve that safety of it.
Then how about Country Club going north from City Hall all the way up to Fairview?
Sure.
What's that plan?
So that it would be the same exact plan,
Okay.
actually going south. So
Okay.
Parker on Southview all the way to Stacy in
Okay.
Fairview. I've worked with Mayor Lesnar of Fairview and the new incoming mayor that will be there, and make sure that they're in agreement.
Do you say the new mayor? Have they elected the new mayor?
Well, he
yet?
ran unopposed.
Oh,
so
I
they're-
didn't realize that.
so
Okay,
they'll-
good. Well, that's who Mayor Lesnar thought would be great for it.
Yes, and I've been fortunate to meet him and think he's a great individual. So The goal with that is to really work with our neighbors, and
Right.
TxDOT's agreed on the plan. We've shared that with Fairview so they know what's to be expected because there's a small couple hundred feet that isn't Lucas that would go to Stacy.
Okay.
And so they've said that they would be fine with the plan that we proposed, the 4 lanes, and allowing that because it would alleviate traffic there.
Okay.
So the plan is a uniform 4 lane road as narrow as possible from Parker all the way to.
Okay. Another thing that, excuse me, allergies are terrible. When I spoke with you the first time, everybody's big fear. No one wants sewer, public sewer coming into Lucas. Fairview's the same way. And I know you are a proponent for keeping sewer out of the city. But at the same time, I feel like we have to get public sewer over to the Hart Elementary, which
Okay.
is the only school we have left. And that without, it's on septic, which creates a lot of problems. So the big fear from the anti passing the, which I'm not going to get into the Lovejoy bond that's coming up. Everybody has to do their own research on that, figure out what works for them. But one of the issues on that is actually bringing public sewer to Hart Elementary, which I think is a great idea. And the fear is that developers will be able to tap into that, and all of a sudden, because now we have sewer, public sewer, you're going to see apartments or high density. Explain why that can't happen.
Right. So that topic is it's always been a topic
Hmm.
since before we moved here almost 10 years ago, and it remains that it's always a fear to everyone. And I think
Hmm.
it's what makes that topic specifically interesting is my understanding is what Lovejoy is wanting to do if the bond passes is connect into the existing lift station that's over by Willow Springs.
Hmm.
So, for those that don't know, when Willow Springs was built, they came before the city and asked to have sewer. Sewer was granted to them using easements, and we have contracts in place with them that clearly stipulates what it must and can't be.
Right.
And so, in that agreement, it's section 3.5. I think it states in there that it's got to be sized exactly for that of the school. It is
Okay.
a dedicated and private lift line. It was put in and paid for by the district. The city had to give easements to it, but it still must meet the city and North Texas Municipal Water District standards.
Hmm.
So all of that is in place, and that goes into Parker. My understanding from what I know on the bond is that they want to connect into that with a private and dedicated line going down to Hart Elementary
Hmm.
to then pump back into Parker. It doesn't go into Lucas, has nothing to do
Hmm.
with Lucas. So, one of the uniquenesses behind the existing contract that Willow has, and I would assume if it comes before us as a council, we would expect it to have this in there, if not stronger, is it has language that clearly stipulates if the use of that building should ever change, meaning if it goes to Willow or if it goes to Hart and it's no longer a school, they have to take it out.
Okay. Well,
So,
that should assure
and I
people.
think and I think that's what's kind of unique if people would take the time to look for the
Yeah.
agreements or understand that. I think it's
Outstanding.
very, very clear. And I think it said page 3, section 3.5 of the existing agreement. If it ever changes, you have to take it out at your expense.
Hmm.
And the city of Lucas will request that they do that.
Okay.
It's very, very black and white.
Okay.
It is a 4-inch dedicated line. You can't tap into it. It's a pressurized line. So
Right.
the 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 idea that someone's just going to go out and drill and tap into it, it's just simply not going to
Right.
happen. And there's a lot of confusion on that. It's a public line. It's not public. It's a private line.
Okay. Tell us about the excuse me, the sidewalk that's going to be expanded, and we're getting funds from the state on that. Um,
On West Lucas Road and East Lucas
yeah.
Road. Yeah,
Yeah.
so going back to our roads conversation earlier, East Lucas Road and the portions of West Lucas Road that TxDOT manages, their current standard build includes a sidewalk, and I believe it's 6 or 8 feet wide, somewhere in there.
Hmm.
And that is a state standard mandate that they put in all of that for ADA
Hmm.
compliance and all of that. Um, as we look at our section of West Lucas Road between the fire station and Angel, we will include that as well. So that is one of the things that the council
Okay.
agreed to include in our design fees was how we would incorporate that into our build when we do that. The goal would be to connect that into Angel because again, Angel is a TxDOT project. It will incorporate and have that sidewalk.
Okay.
If we connect Angel into West Lucas Road into East Lucas Road, we can go all the way down to Highland Trails
Really?
and we can
Okay.
go to the bridge
Wow.
and we can also go to Celebration Park. So
Okay.
one of the goals of the Parks Board many years ago was to have trail connectivity. this would finally connect a bunch of trails.
Yeah.
And let's think further down the road, 5 years or whenever we start looking at Country Club, whenever the funding is there and they're building it, it would likely incorporate, because it's a textile project, a
Mhm.
sidewalk.
Mhm.
So we could really have a large sidewalk trails network, which we're hearing citizens say, I want to be able to go jogging. I want to push
Right.
my stroller.
Yeah.
I want to have some walking ability to it from some of these neighborhoods to the Walmart shopping areas
Right.
around City Hall. We're having a lot of people are saying, hey, I want to walk to City
Yeah,
Hall or to the
exactly.
park or whatever.
There just aren't. I don't can't even think of any sidewalks in Lucas. Fairview's got the same. Fairview's made a commitment to building in more sidewalks,
Right.
along Stacy Road, and they're starting to connect some of those subdivisions. So I'm glad Lucas is thinking the same way. Um, okay, anything on the airport? Have you
You know, we have been against that from the very, very beginning.
right?
Mayor Jim Olk, we all signed petitions against that, and we continue to do that. I've talked to 4 of the mayor people that are running for mayor in
Mhm.
McKinney and expressed our opinion, because if you look at the design of it, all the traffic is going to go directly over Fairview and Luke. My
Mhm.
house is in the flight
Right.
path, and so if you look at the intent of that, they always try to put that where the noise and the nuisance is going to be Fairview
Mhm.
Lucas impacted the most.
Mhm.
So we've expressed that to them. We've sent stuff to the state. I spoke with Angela Paxson about it. I've spoke with the governor about it. And so I understand it is that it's going to be a very big topic for the new mayor when they come in up there. But we and Fairview and Parker and Wiley have all been very vocal about our feelings
Yeah.
on that.
Every time I think that's dead, now they're finished. They just finished up, I guess, the terminal,
Correct.
or are in the process. I don't
I
know,
think they're
but
working. I don't think they're completed it yet.
okay. So it's just like the deal that, and the McKinney residents don't want it. It's like a select group of people want it, and everybody else doesn't. They're not going to get
Right.
the benefit out of it. Especially we aren't, but
Right.
that's why the McKinney taxpayers voted it down, because it's not really of a benefit to them.
Sure.
They're stuck with the bill.
Well, and I think that's, as an elected official, you've got to listen to your citizens. I think
Yeah.
that's what we're supposed to do. We have an eye towards what benefits the city, but if we can't convey what we're trying to do and how it benefits the city well enough, and the citizens still don't want it, you have to listen to your citizens at some
Hmm.
point. And so one of the things, kind of talking in that, going back to the roads conversation, was the number one complaint I get and city staff gets is the road quality in Lucas. So we had our very first road specific meeting. We called a special meeting last Thursday to sit down and do nothing but discuss roads.
Hmm.
It was enlightening to everyone on council to understand that basically the last 10-ish years, maintenance has not been done very well, if at
Yeah.
all, on some
You're
roads.
right.
And so that was a decision made by the council that was in existence there, and on assumptions that they had. Well, the world that we live in just doesn't look that way. So we
Hmm.
had to sit down and figure out what we can go do. And when I came into office to where we are now, we've almost doubled our budget on road.
Good.
So it's a 52% increase even over last year's budget.
Do you have an ongoing program that you take one street? I mean, is there something always going on as far as improving the streets? It's just a long-term process, or when do you decide to do these improvements if the money's there?
Sure. It is a new process. And that was what city staff laid out, 3 different options that we reviewed, which is a combination of converting some from asphalt to pavement. There is patch and seals on some, and there's some that we just kind of do conditioning to maintain the longevity of the concrete, right?
Hmm.
Seams and gaps and things like that. So it's really a 3 or 4 pronged approach to expand the lives of some and replace some.
Right.
And this is unfortunately, we're very much behind the curve
Yeah.
on this, and it's going to take us a while to get caught back up. There are almost 20% of our roads that are in the poor to failing condition. That's unacceptable. And so it's on record, and I have to stand by it. I told our city staff at the end of this next financial year, I want 0 roads in the failing category. We live in a city where our citizens pay so much to live here. They have high expectations of what their road should be. We should not ever have a road that is in the failing category. And if it is, it should be outlined very clearly what we're doing to fix that or remedy that problem.
Hey everyone, Sean Elliott with the Grisak Group here. Thank you so much for stopping down to watch this podcast. We hope you enjoy it, and we hope you'll call us the next time you have any real estate needs, whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, or if you just have questions about the market. Times are a little bit difficult. The market is uncertain, so we have a lot of people that just call us just because they kind of want to know what's going on. So we aim to be your trusted name in real estate, and we know trust is earned and not handed over. So please just give us a call. Visit our website, grisak.com, to see some of the listings that we have right now. And we hope to talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
What's
It
the
is.
priority level? What comes first?
Um, I don't have a presentation on that just yet. So
Okay.
we just approved a budget and kind of how we want to tackle this. City staff is going to work on a prioritization and a list
Not
back
the
of.
roads, I mean, but like, what's the priority for Lucas? Is it roads first, and then whatever, you've got a whole list of things you want to do. How high up are roads on the priority of things the town wants to get done?
I think it's extremely high, and it just got bumped up last Thursday.
Okay.
If you look at the allocation of our budget to where we're trying to spend it, I think you can always see a city's priorities and their budgets.
Mm-hmm.
Our number one expense is our fire department. So safety, security of our citizens, quick response time is always a priority. But just below that financially is our streets and our infrastructure. So we've got um, drainage goes in line with that. So as we look at repairing some of the roads, there's going to
Right.
be culverts and drainage that goes
Right.
into that. So this tends to get a little bit bigger, but those are different budget, different buckets in the budget that we can pull from.
Okay.
But if you begin to look at where we're prioritizing, those are very, very high for us.
Were you out here when they tried chip seal?
Yes. And that topic came up on Thursday. It was
Oh,
it
it was
was
a nightmare.
it was it was brought back up and discussed very heavily for those
No,
that didn't know it.
that they tried. They want to bring that back.
No, not at
Oh,
all.
okay.
It was just brought back up that, we could do better than that. And so there are a bunch of new ways that we can look
Yeah.
at fixing roads.
Yeah, chip seal is they lay a layer of asphalt down and then they put rocks in it. That's the chip. Well, the chip ends up chipping your car.
It comes back out.
Yeah, and those things never stay. So you drive down the road, there's a car in front of you, and all of a sudden you've got a crack in your windshield or your chips on the front of your car. So
Yeah, when
that
that was when that was done last, it was so bad that city staff was out with rakes and shovels getting it out of people's ditches and trying to clean it up. So,
yeah,
there's things to learn from on that. That was a long time ago. We do have new suppliers and people that are going to come out and do different procedures to improve our road.
good. Now I'm kind of excited about the new Tom Thumb coming in.
Sure.
We'll talk about that, but that's going to add tax revenue to Lucas. And you were mentioning that there may be something going on to the north of it. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so the Southview and Parker, the southernmost corner of Lucas, has always been designed to be a commercial. And that was the master plan of the city many, many years ago. And I think it's been a great plan because it keeps our commercial at the outskirts of the city. We benefit as Lucas residents, but also surrounding cities come and shop from us. And so the city benefits from that increased taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always worked out well to do that. That's a 42-acre development, which is anchored by the Tom Thumb
Tom
you
Thumb.
mentioned.
Mhm.
And a litany of other retail is going to come in. There's a fueling station that will be there as well.
Oh, good.
There should be sit-down restaurants is the plan on
Okay.
the northwest corner, kind of tucked up in the trees is the master plan
Okay.
on that.
Okay.
And the approach with that specific commercial area is different than the other commercial area where Walmart is. And why I bring that up is because we tackled the commercial district on Southview and Parker with the intent to make it a planned development. What that means is we were able to dictate the specifics of that development. We were able to help do the layout, show
Mhm.
them what we wanted, what we didn't want, all the way down to how they can light up the structures.
Mhm.
So council was able to very much tell them what we did and did not want in that and make it look the way that we want it. Keep kind of the rural feel that we all like. But
Do you have a
also,
say in their design?
oh, very much. Yeah, we
Oh,
had we
good.
had a piece in it. So we were able to tell them setbacks and what types of retail people could be in certain areas. So
Mhm.
drive-throughs in certain areas and they couldn't be in certain areas. So it's very, very stipulated on what we did want in there. So
Right.
which we're very excited about that. It's gonna drastically change our tax base. We know that the city needs that because
Mhm.
that goes directly into roads and infrastructure.
And then you said there's going to be 1.5 acre zoning to the north of that. You feel
Yes.
like that's going to
So
happen?
I believe so. The developer came before council a couple meetings ago and gave us two different ideas. One was the lots were at the smallest 1.2 acres, but in that plan was they were going to give us a couple of acres for a fire station.
So it has to average out 1.5.
It was
See what
actually
all-
it was actually higher than that. I think
Okay.
they were actually 1.8 acres was the average because there were some lots that were 2 plus based on some floodplains in there. But the smallest lot was 1.2. And us on council have always been very conscientious of we don't want small lots. We want to keep our large lot field. That's a priority for us from aesthetics, density, traffic, etc. So option A was 1.2 acres with an incorporated fire station, a lot for a fire station, or B, which was an average or a smallest lot of 1.5 acres. And so council's discussion was we would rather have larger lots and forego the lot for a fire station. So
Okay.
what they said, they would go back through the necessary process through P&Z and then council again with these lots at a smallest of 1.5.
Okay. How many, every time I ask someone how many residents live in Lucas, I get a different answer. What is it now, roughly?
So my understanding is about 9,700.
Okay, good. Well, last I'd heard it was 8,700. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 9,700
Yeah.
from
So
now
that's the
on.
number that we're using for all of our studies right now is around 9,700,
Okay.
800, somewhere in
And
there.
what's the projected population? Just when it's totally finished out?
I've heard about 12,000.
Okay. I thought it was going to be larger than that. Because I know Fairview, I can't remember they're around 10 or 11 right now
They're around
too.
10 right now.
Okay, so those are good size, in my opinion, good size cities. We do need more retail coming in, but it's nice all that stuff's coming in around Walmart. Although it's mostly fast food restaurants, it's
Yeah,
still
right.
it's something.
Right.
Um, so as a mayor, how much time does this take? Tell us about your real job.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the CFO of a software company. We're a global software company with offices in different places, and so that's my priority is staying on top of that. But as mayor, it's been different than maybe what I expected.
Mhm.
It's a lot more time committed to this, and it's something that I really enjoy getting to go do. I love being in City Hall, meeting with citizens, meeting with. I mean, we're fortunate enough we have our House representative comes in, congressmen have come in, and so we've been able to work on some strategy and being in there, and it's a lot of fun for me to sit down and work with our staff and our council and citizens to say, here's where we are, where do we want to be in 5 years, what do we
Yeah.
need to do in order to get that going now. um, we're at this point to where we're getting to your point to be almost 10,000 people. We can't operate like a small town anymore.
Mhm.
We need to really spend time to focus on our budgets, our priorities. There's a push from the Corps. Many people saw the emails that came out that the Corps of Engineers is going to be getting rid of some of the parks. They don't want to manage parks.
Mhm.
So Lucas has Brockdale Park and Highland Park, both of which have boat ramps on those. And so we're in the process of annexing those and having long-term leases with the Corps of Engineers. So we will take those on as parks for
Okay.
us. And that's really exciting from a city's perspective because it's the first time we're going to actually add quite a bit of land into the city that we can use as parks. We don't have a plan with what we ultimately want them to be at this point because I think Brockdale's is close to 50 acres. That's a big parcel of
Mhm.
land. It has a boat ramp that needs some repairs. So we're trying to understand with our parks and our city staff, what could this be? What
Yeah.
grants are out there? Some are state grants, some are county grants, some are
Yeah.
Texas Parks and Wildlife. And so really working together with a multitude of entities to
All
figure
right.
out how to maximize all of these parcels.
Well, Dusty, I want to keep this limit to a limited time so their eyes don't start
Sure.
glossing over. Thank you so much for visiting. I'm going to try to do this with you once a year.
Sure.
And then next year, I'm going to say, I'm going to review this, say, remember last time we talked,
Here's what you said.
this was one, no, I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire because a lot of this is out of your control,
Sure.
but you feel like you've made progress in the right areas.
Yes,
But
sir.
I'm so happy to have you. You are such a great representation of Lucas, professional, engaged. I don't know why you do it because you got people throwing stones at you no matter what you decide on any issue, but
Right.
it's fantastic that you do that. And I'm very appreciative you're our mayor. So
No,
thank you very
thank
much.
you.